I was also on Tech City last night and this morning too, and I didn't take the bus. I'm sorry. I should have.
You could have walked.
We called the seniors bus. Thank you, Scott. So the score is 1-0 still.
At the end of the second.
At the end of the second. Thank you very much. You know how important that is. I do have in my pocket, and I checked. I was going to announce that in a minute, but thank you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in the opposite order that we started in, and we're going to start with number 6 at the end with the Green Party of Canada, Brendan Waters. We're going to give them 2 minutes to come to the microphone and to give their closing comments, and then we'll do some wrap up from there. So Brendan, Canadian Action, or sorry. Thank you, the Green Party of Canada. Would you like to come up or you want to stay there?
This is fine. Thank you everyone for coming out. I'm very pleased that the discussion this evening has been about war and the military. Just to be fair, if you go to my website, you'll see my statement on Libya. I did say, contrary to what my party decided, that we should not be going into Libya at all. It was far too hasty a decision, and it's on my website. And I also want to mention to you, Roger has suggested, basically challenge the candidates on a specific issue, and that comes from Major General Butler's document from 1938, whereby the MP should assume a wage of a foot soldier. And on April 18th, I took up that challenge and I accepted it. And so if I'm elected as an MP, I'm a little concerned that the Ottawa would take away the wage. So I'm saying to people, I'll accept the wage of an MP, but the money that I receive will be distributed in the riding to certain specific projects that are in line with the Green Vision, up to the point of a foot soldier. So I've accepted Roger Lagasse's challenge, and I think that's important because we actually believe in what we're saying. I want to impress upon you that the commitment by me personally is there and it exists, and I think I want to emphasize as well that we're at a turning point. We have the ability to solve this problem with our environment. We have the ability to bring ourselves in line with our environment and to live lives so that our children and our children's children can continue on with valuable, healthy, vibrant lives.
Thank you very much. Progressive Canadian Party.
Bravo, Brendan. And I think it's a challenge that we should all accept. We have a war, especially the people in Ottawa, I think especially our representatives, nobody's making a bigger sacrifice than that soldier in the trenches. No one. So no one should make a bigger income during a war. Now there's a lot of things we haven't talked about tonight. We haven't talked about the CBC, and I think that's one of the things that the current, the previous government was intent on trying to get rid of, and I support the CBC. We haven't talked about... and the National Film Board and our institutions of Canadian unity and culture. You know, I used to think that Hollywood was an amazing business success, that they didn't have any funding from the government. And I read this little book, it's called Hollywood, the Pentagon, and Washington. It's written in French, by a French author. And it documents the billions and billions of dollars that the Pentagon and Washington invest in films to make you think about the way you think about Libya and about Afghanistan and about Iran. And I urge you to sort of take a more a critical approach to what's being said in the newspapers as well. This is a graph that shows what happened to heroin trade in Afghanistan before the Americans bombed there, before the NATO or the coalition of the willing bombed there. The Taliban, because they're very religious, they were against drugs of all kinds. They had eradicated the heroin trade, which accounted for about 85% of the world heroin trade came out of Afghanistan. The Taliban brought it down to 5%. Do you know what's happened since we've invaded there? Since we've bombed there? It's gone back up to 85%. And You know, there's three big money makers in the world.
Thank you, Roger. Sorry to that. International Party, Ed Harper.
I need to repeat something for you. If the banksters and the oil interests didn't kill the electric car, we would be dealing with 1/2 the pollution that's in the world right now. Now those same people, in the form of Kinder Morgan, are in Burrard Inlet. They are shipping international oil in tankers 3 times the size of the Exxon Valdez through our pristine waters. They don't care that our future is in ecotourism. And it is. Everybody wins that way. We're the last pristine coast in the world that hasn't had a major oil spill. So where does everybody think the tourists are going to come? In Afghanistan, you didn't get a vote about that war. In Libya, you didn't get a vote about that war. With Kinder Morgan, you didn't get a vote whether or not you want tankers on our pristine coast. A vote for the Canadian Action Party will be a vote to get your vote back. Because we're grassroots. We want to know what's happening in this riding, and we want to take it to Ottawa. It works from the grassroots up, not from the top down. A vote for the Canadian Action Party will be no tankers, no oil spill. It'll protect your children. It'll protect the salmon. It'll protect the biolife of Georgia Strait. It'll protect the fish hatcheries. It'll protect the crabs, the orcas, otters, seals, and it will protect the jobs of all the commercial fishermen. It'll protect the jobs of all the tourist restaurants and hotels. And it'll preserve our pristine coast for ecotourism. We would appreciate your support. We've got our eye on the ball with Kinder Morgan, and we need your help. Look up the Canadian Action Party. Everything I've said tonight is in writing. Thank you very much for your time tonight on the biggest hockey night in Canada that we've ever seen. Thank you.
Liberal Party of Canada, Dan Gagné.
Folks, I'm incredibly humbled to be here. It's the first time that I've run for any elected office, and it's been a privilege, one way or the other. This election isn't about really any of us. It's not about John Weston. It's about Stephen Harper, and it's about the future of Canada. This election really is about character, and it's about trust. It's about competence. It's also about taking our democracy back. This is the first time in history that anyone's ever found a government in contempt of Parliament. Mr. Harper promised openness, accountability, and transparency, and the Canadian people for 5 full years have been subjected to just the opposite. He shut down Parliament not once but twice. He embarrassed us in Copenhagen. The UN Security Council seat that should have been ours was lost to Portugal, a country that went into bankruptcy 2 weeks ago. He ignored China and India for 4 years. He squandered the healthiest balance sheet in the world through reckless spending. The Liberal Party of Canada's platform is going to repair the public vandalism of Stephen Harper's policies. Ours will be a research and fact-based government, not an ideologically based